What's up, amigos? Commander Jaime here today. Today we're going to do a premium play video using Nubatama, specifically Magatsu. And so we got the new Magatsu Reverse over here. We're going to be able to do 7 drive checks with a total of 5 attacks. So I'm going to cover the key cards, execute the play, and talk about some tips that can help with, and of course have some closing thoughts for the deck for the future. So let's get right into it. Next Level Gaming has the new pre-orders for the Chibi keychains, and I definitely recommend them. I'm getting mine for Stokeia and Genesis, and also for Valentine's Day, they're doing the new playmat with the new Angel Feathers on there too. It's pretty cool with Gabrielle and some of the no-seal on there too. Definitely recommend it to special someone for you. And so if you want to check out their store, check out the affiliated link and use the Commander Jaime code to get a discount on your next purchase. So for the key cards, we're going to use Magatsu Reverse. So the skill that we care about is the first one. When this unit is placed onto a rearguard circle by the ability of a Vanguard with Magatsu in its card name, you can lock all your rearguards without the Magatsu name, and then all of your units will get plus 5k until the end of the turn. And then of course, then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, which we'll assume for this video, you can counterblast 1, discard 2 cards from hand, and until the end of the turn, this unit will perform drive checks for the battle weight attacked. And in this case, since it has twin drive over here, it'll do 2 drive checks, which is really awesome in this case. And we'll take advantage of 2 Magatsu Reverse to get 4 extra drive checks on top of our Vanguard with just a stride. The stride we're going to be using is Jaku Meiso over here. This is the premium collection one we got a few years ago. And so when it attacks, you can retire 2 grade 0 cards and turn a card face up in the G zone. And then you draw 2 cards and return all of your rearguards from the rearguards to your hand. And then you can call up 2 cards from your hand to a rearguard circle. And then if you did call 2, this unit gets an additional plus 10k and crit until the end of the turn. So this will help bounce your cards, but more specifically call them to rearguard circle. So that's where Magatsu Reverse gets triggered. And because strides gain the name of the heart, Magatsu Storm, oh, there we go. Magatsu Storm is over here as the heart. And so you'll have the name and it works that way. The next key card that's going to help with this combo is over here, the Kurogiri. This card is an act, rearguard circle, Soul Blast 2, return this to your hand and call up to 2 evil decoy tokens to rearguard circle. And what this does is that the tokens are grade 0s, so that way you're able to produce 2 rearguards technically that are grade 0s for Jaku Meiso to actually retire to do its go. So it's definitely recommended. It's doable without it, but you have to call triggers at that point and any other grade 0 units that you play in the deck as well. But this just makes it a lot easier, and since it bounces, you can just reuse it. Your field should look like this. You're gonna have 2 evil decoy tokens over here, and then any units really for the front row attacks. Just to make this very simple, I'm gonna use the 2 Magatsu Reverse that we're gonna superior call anyway. So we can start with the first attack. This will attack. This can poke with Vanguard or rearguard for 12k, and then the second attack will be this guy as well. So now for the third battle, you can attack with the Vanguard, do the skill to retire 2 of the grade 0s, bounce everything else, and then superior call 2 units, which you do the 2 Magatsu Reverse in this case. And since you did this, gets an additional 10k and a crit. Now the Magatsu Reverse will trigger now and lock everything that doesn't have Magatsu in the name, which you have nothing. Everything is Magatsu technically. And then all of your units gets plus 5k. And because you have 2 of them, the front row will get a total of plus 10k, which makes it even bigger in that case. And assuming that your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 greater, you counterblast for each one of them to discard 2 cards for each. So you'll be discarding 2 cards to get drive checks for these guys. And at first it may seem that's a lot of discarding, which is fine because you'll bounce everything back and you'll have the units to discard. And then on top of that, you'll draw 2 more cards. So let's say I draw 2 more in that case too. And so you have discard fodder in that sense. And so now you can perform the drive checks. This is 47k plus crit, by the way. So very deadly. More than likely they're gonna PG in this case. And so I'm gonna do the drive check, heal trigger. Let's say I power over here. Third check, critical trigger on this one. So it really just depends if you want to give power in this case. So when it comes to critical triggers, if your opponent's at 4 damage, you want to put the crit on one of them. And then if you get another crit, then you can stack on the other one. So they have to block everything at that point. Or the other thing is that you can stack it onto 1. So let's say I just stack the triggers onto the right one. Let's just do that. So it's plus 20k and a crit on top of that. So what happens is now you did 3 drive checks. This is for the 4th battle. Now you're going to do 2 additional crits, drive checks. You're 22k plus the 2 triggers, so 42 twin drive. And so twin drive, got another trigger. So if you happen to have this, then you can start following the stack to the other one at that point. And this because it only got 1 trigger, it's 32k crit at that point. And so another 2 drive checks, that's the 5th attack, and boom. So as you can see, we got 7 drive checks with 5 attacks. This is really deadly. because your opponent has to guard everything. And with the nature of this deck too, you'll realize that you'll be deck thinning as well. So more than likely you're going to hit triggers. And if you do have enough crits, it could be deadly in that sense. So that's how simple it is. And we'll talk about some of the tips now. So the next card that is a key tip just to help with this combo, make it happen, is this card, the new Anun. So its first skill is when this is rolled upon, you can Soul Blast 1, reveal grade 3 normal unit from your hand, and then you can search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 with a different card name from the one revealed, and then you can put it into your hand and shuffle it. And then you could choose a card to basically bottom deck it. And so this is really useful to find the Magatsu Reverse. So if you open up with Magatsu Storm, you can get Magatsu Reverse that easily as well. And vice versa. If you only have Reverse, you can find the Magatsu Storm so you properly ride the right target at that point. What's kind of sucks about this is that it specifically says reveal grade 3 normal units. So you can't use orders, you can't use the grade 3 heal guardians. Unfortunately, it has to be like something like Magatsu Storm, any of the grade 3 units that you actually play as well. And another card that's also in the new reveals as well is the Nova. So I like this card. At first I unrated it, but it's really good because the first skill is that when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle or Rigard Circle, you can check the top 2 cards of your deck and choose a Magatsu in its name and reveal it and put it into your hand, and then put the rest of the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is a soft +1 if you do hit. Surprisingly, with this deck's natures, because you're bouncing and calling, you can get this guy off multiple times. And if you have more copies, it's even more deck filtering in that case. So you're increasing your chances of actually getting it. The second skill helps with numbers. That's something I wanted to point out, where the first and second attack, if you want to make some good numbers, I would recommend using Nova, because what's really cool is that when it attacks, you may have it gain 6k until the end of the turn. And if you do, at the end of the turn, you can bottom deck this unit. Now, at first I thought it was end of battle, but it's at the end of turn. So what happens is that when you attack, it could get the power, it becomes 15k. Now with an 8k booster, that makes that magic number 23. And then when you bounce with Jackal Meso, you can actually return it, and then it doesn't go away in that sense. So you don't lose out on anything. It's just a free beater in a sense. And then if you can call it later on for more searching power, that's always appreciated. The next card is the grade 3 top 5 searcher. So this helps searching for your Magatsus in general and deck dens as well. And what's really cool, if you do have a token, it gets an additional 5k. So this can be that first attack worth a 13k. This can call, filter, and then poke with 13k in that sense, so it helps with that. So I just wanted to mention it. Another card that helps with token generation is Zangetsu 2. It costs a counterblast to generate an evil decoy token, and at the end they get boost and plus 5k. So it actually gives them power and boost. So if you really want to use them during those first initial attacks, Zangetsu is there if you do have the extra counterblast. Just keep in mind you need counterblast for Magatsu Reverse. Then to add some more spice, you have the Mizukaze over here. Is that where it's placed, you can Soul Blast 1 grade 3 until the end of the turn. Your opponent cannot call grades that he or she had called that turn from hand to Guardian Circle. So this is where you have restriction and you have 5 attacks. You can call this early on to make it even harder for them to guard. And then if you have that spice of twin drives and triple drives, they're going to have a hard time guarding that, and it might be the seal of the deal as well. And what's really cool is that you can call this during the battle phase and kind of have a surprise factor in that case. If you do only have the one Magatsu Reverse, you would just do this first before it gets locked in that sense. Now, to more spicy, if you are deck thinning, there's a chance you would also hit the over trigger on your drive checks, and this just restands your Vanguard. And that way you get an additional 3 drives, and then of course you'll have a 6th attack in that sense, and more triggers to stack onto the Magatsu Reverses. And then lastly, with the Magatsu Storm, this is key, because with the Magatsu Reverse, it cares about locking cards that don't have the Magatsu name. So if you have an extra copy of the Magatsu Storm, you can call them. Oh, the camera there. And so this won't get locked. It's just another body for you to be able to triple drive, twin drive, and stack anything left, and then this can attack as a poke. So that may come up, and so I just wanted to point out. And then kind of the last thing to point out is the other skills that they have, and it's meant to incentivize to synergize together. And so the first skill of Magatsu is basically when it's attacked by your opponent's Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, retire 2 Regards, and this unit cannot be hit until the end of battle. So it's like a PG Sentinel-like effect. But what's really cool is that if you do have 2 Magatsu Reverse on the field, you can retire these, and what happens is the second skill. When this unit is retired from Rigard Circle during your opponent's turn, you can Soul Blast 1, put this card into your hand, and your opponent chooses a card from their hand and discards it. So at that point, you basically just bounce Magatsu Reverse in a sense back to hand to reuse it next turn. Furthermore, you make your opponent discard a card. So if you have both of them, your opponent will discard 2 cards while you have a PG-like effect when they attack your Vanguard, which is, I think, is really cool in that sense too. So I thought I'd point that out as well. Some closing thoughts. I really like this deck as I'm playtesting it right now. If you're a Nubatama player and you also like playing decks that are more combo oriented, this is definitely a deck for you. And what's really cool is that just the interaction on multi-attack is in there and it's just carefully planning. And what's really cool is that in V Premium, you typically rely on Magatsu Storm, which needs a grade 3 in the soul to do its bouncing effect, or to call its effect when you see something bounce, where Jaku Meso does it really all for you. And so this synergy just helps in that regard in the premium aspect. And you have additional power, you have additional drive checks with the Vanguard attack, so it's just well appreciated with an extra crit on top of that. So it's really cool in that sense. And I will be doing a premium deck profile soon. I just got to play test and tweak a little more too. I'm excited to show this off as well. And if you haven't noticed, I have a new playmat. And so this is one of the playmats from Next Level Gaming. So for those Brant Gate fans, this is, Dimension Please against, Brant Gate with Gravidia over here. And there's also the prison units around. You can't just really see it because at that point, they're off camera in the sense. But it's really cool, man. I definitely recommend it. And so if you're interested in more Next Level Gaming stuff, the affiliated link is down below. If you guys have any tips or combos that you want to share, feel free to share. I'd definitely like to hear in the comment section and engage. And if you like the video, like the video. And if you share it with a fellow Nubatama Ninja player, go ahead and share it. And then, of course, subscribe. See ya, amigos. Bye.